Hi guys and welcome back to a new video. My name is Martina and this is a secret craft room. In today's video I'm going to show you how I made this spooky but cute Halloween wreath. Please give my video a thumbs up and subscribe if you like my content. And without further ado, let's get into the video. I didn't have a wreath to start with, but I had this garland, so I used that to create my wreath base. I released a lot of these metal wires that it came with and will use them throughout the project. Next I made little tombstones. I decided to make them from foam board. I like using foam board because it's very easy to create different textures with it. To create the stone texture, I used some scrunched up aluminum foil. Then I glued it to another piece of foam board using super glue. This is to make it more durable. Next I painted the tombstones with black paint mixed with Mod Podge. I like to mix in some Mod Podge in the base layer because it creates a primer of sorts. Then I dry brushed the tombstones with grey paint and then with white paint. I decided to add these little hot glue skulls I made for another project. Then I dry brushed 2 coats of a white blacklight paint on top. To create the little pumpkins, I decided to use polymorph. It's tiny plastic balls that gets translucent and soft once you put it in hot water, so you can use it like clay. When it cools down, it turns hard again. For the base, I made little balls from aluminum foil. Once it was almost opaque again, I used my craft knife to cut around the pumpkin. That way it's easier to split them in half later on. Completely cooled down, I used my craft knife again to split the pumpkins in half. Then I removed the aluminum foil. To glue them back together again, I used hot glue. Make sure that the glue gun is really hot because that will melt the polymorph a little bit and make it sticky so it holds better. I also used my glue gun to make a hole for the lights at the bottom of each pumpkin. Next I used the metal wire from the garland to make tiny curly cues, one for each pumpkin. For the stem I used small pieces of 3mm aluminum wire. Then I made a little hole at the top of the pumpkin with my glue gun, and then I glued the stem and the curlicue in place. I also covered the stem with hot glue. Since I wanted the light to be able to show through the pumpkins, I painted them with orange acrylic ink. Then I used a sponge and a bit of yellow paint to dull the orange a little bit. Next I used soft pastel to create some shading and dirt on the pumpkins. And of course I had to add black light paint as well. Next I created the little jack-o'-lanterns faces. I also painted the stem and the curlicue with black acrylic paint, and then I added green blacklight paint to it. Next I glued the tombstones in place. I ended up using only 3 of the ones I made. I cut off some parts to make it fit to the wreath a bit better. Next I created the tree using aluminum foil. Once done I added hot glue along the tree to make it more sturdy and to add a bit of texture. Then I started working on the little ghosties. I used aluminum wire to create sort of like a drying rack for them, and for the head I used these 30mm styrofoam balls. I am using an old sheet for my ghosts and cut out circles from it. My circles ended up being about 24 centimeters in diameter. Then I mixed equal parts of water and PVA glue. I also mixed in a bit of white blacklight paint, but you could skip this step because it didn't turn out quite right, and I ended up painting them with blacklight paint once they had dried. Then I removed the styrofoam ball. It might have been easier if I had wrapped the styrofoam balls with plastic wrap first. Next I made a little box for the battery pack and glued it to the back of the wreath. I am going to use some different fake leaves, but I didn't want them to be this bright green, so I messily spray painted them with black spray paint. Next I attached the lights. First I glued the part with no lights all the way to the top, with some left over that I put in the battery box holder. Then I started at the top and worked my way downwards on the side where the tree is first. My original plan was to make a face on the tree that would light up, that's why you'll see me add a bunch of lights to the middle of the tree. I also made a cluster of 3 lights on one of the branches because I want to place a pumpkin there. When I reached the tombstones, I also glued the pumpkins in place. I made a cluster of 5 lights for the larger pumpkins and 3 lights for the small pumpkin. Then I continued wrapping the lights until I reached where I wanted the first ghost to be placed. Next I used plastic wrap and wrapped the lights in it and made a ball that fit in the ghost's head. Then I added to the ghost. Then I added more lights inside the ghost and glued them in place. And then I glued the ghost to the wreath. Then I worked my way up to where the second ghost will be and did the same thing. Next I added toilet paper and Mod Podge to the tree. Then I painted the place where I wanted the tree's face, first using a purple Sharpie and then with purple ink. Then I sketched out his face and used black puffy paint to trace along the edges. Then I mixed black acrylic paint with baking soda and painted the tree with it. The baking soda creates a lot of texture. I added 2 coats of this to make sure I covered any lights that I didn't want to show. I also decided to scrap the idea with the face on the tree, so I painted over it. Then I decided to paint the lights green using Sharpies. Then I added purple blacklight paint to the tree. Purple doesn't show up as well as other colors on the blacklight, but I still think it gives a nice effect. Next I cut up some moss and mixed it with PVA glue. Then I added green blacklight paint to it and then I added the moss to the wreath. Then I glued the small pumpkin in place on the branch, and then I added more moss. Next I gave the ghost his eyes using black acrylic paint. Then I added the leaves that I had previously spray painted. I mixed a few different kinds. I tried to use as little hot glue as possible for this, because apparently hot glue glows under black light, at least the hot glue I am using. This is also the reason why I decided to turn on my black light while gluing the branches and leaves in place, so I could make sure that it wasn't visible. At the bottom of the wreath I tried to make it look like the branches was hanging down. Then I realized that I had forgotten to add some dirt to the ghost, so I did that now. It would have been a lot easier doing this before gluing the ghosts in place though. To finish the wreath, I sprayed the whole piece with a couple of coats of weather-resistant matte varnish, but I forgot to film that part. Please don't forget to subscribe and give my video a thumbs up if you liked it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.